Hey, you guys, it's your girl Dosh coming back to you from Real Takes. Thank you for tuning in. Happy Sunday, happy Easter. Today I'll be doing a review of the movie titled Acrimony, starring Taraji P. Henson. Excuse me, you guys. First and foremost, let me just start by saying I enjoyed this movie immensely. In regards to this particular movie, this is not the first movie Taraji has done with Tyler Perry. If you all remember, back in 2009, she did the movie I Can Do Bad All By Myself, starring her, and of course, Mary J. Blige was in it, and quite a few others. Now, for her to come back to do this movie, and let me just put out there that I didn't know this, but she made this known on her Instagram page, and I think she did post this on her Twitter as well, how she ended up actually doing this within an 8 day period, which was phenomenal because in the midst of her only being able to do it within 8 days, she was still actually taping, doing her show Empire. So going back and forth, and kudos to her because she said in a couple of interviews during the press junkets with Tyler how, that's one thing she loves, when he's like, we got to get in there, got to get the work done. That was the time allotted. That's what they decided to do. So with that said, just going forward with that, it just lets you know the work ethic. She's all about a good, strong work ethic, and she loved that. Even though it was a time crunch, she got in there, she pulled it together. The cast, crew, everyone did, and they did an amazing job. Now, in regards to this particular movie, I will say this kind of borderlines around situations in dealing with being in a relationship, being married, going through certain areas, some chapters of your life, being there for each other, some one person being there more than the other, seeing if it's, the possibilities of, moving past this. Is this something you can grow within too, and things of that nature. Now, with that said, now the way the movie starts off, it shows her, of course, in court, and granted, it only shows that part because it's within the movie. You'll see as I go on. She's being told by the judge that she has to take kind of like a sessions with a therapist to deal with her anger issues. Now, off the being else, you all don't realize, especially with the way the trailer depicts it. As we say, trailers can be very, cryptic and very sneaky in the way they edit. But when they show her in the setting of the scene of her sitting on the couch, you don't see the therapist, you just hear them and you hear her speak. And in the trailer, if you recall, she says, well, what have you gone through? She wanted to understand. She says, well, then start from the beginning. She's like, how far you want me to go back? And she went all the way back. She went all the way back to when she was a young girl in college. Now, she, wanted to do the right thing. Her mom and her family, support her. She's going to school to get that degree, make her mom proud, and just be, make herself proud. And beknownst to her on her way home to write up like a book report, she runs into him in the rain out, heading where she is, and he was heading where he was. She's, of course, angry. Whatever, she ends up having some of his pages of his report. He has some of hers, so he finds out where she's at and, kind of apologizes, but she didn't really care. She has some work to do. He's like, well, let me help you. I had this teacher before, I got a good grade, let me help you. And at first she says, and let me tell you one thing I can say that I enjoyed from this particular way the movie was set up was the way it was monologue. Taraji monologue the entire movie from literally beginning to end, and it was really the best part, honestly, of the movie. All the scenes throughout the movie, there's some, here and there, but her monologue, her describing certain instances, certain scenes, certain things that happen within their, friendship, then, relationship where it turns into a marriage, and then what happens within the marriage. Now, for him, his name is Robert Gale. She played Melinda. Now, I will say I enjoyed the young Melinda and the young Robert Gale a lot, just as much as I love Taraji. The girl who played Melinda, let me get her name correctly, is Adriana Alexis. And she was exquisite the way she played her perfectly. The guy who played the young Robert, his name was Antonio Madison. He did an outstanding job as well. Because when you see the way they eventually get together, of course, it happens, a little bit of a, tiff, but then it blossoms. She ends up losing her mother. Her sisters are rolling around her. And let's just say those sisters at times could be a lot to bear, and you could tell the way she was with them, even though she loved them and they loved her, they could be very overbearing at times. Where especially I think the older one in the movie, she's played by Brenda, and she's right there. She was a little spitfire at times and a little bit too much at times, but it is what it is, just that tough love type of feeling that can become overzealous. And just watching, meeting Robert, who are you? Oh, where you come from? Oh, you go to school, or oh, you're in the, sports. What do you do? Oh, and then the other sister played, and her name was June. She's like, oh, so you're a smart, you're a book nerd. Okay, great. They're thinking, he's going to school for scholarships, just giving him the full third degree. So already right there, the seed is planted of, okay, we're kind of eyeing up and down who she's dealing with, who's good to bring into the family fold, because both her sisters already have their men. One of them's engaged, the other one's dating, so they're kind of looking at her, watching over her, because she is the youngest one. And from there, she, of course, when she loses her mother, he comes, she takes him back to his place, and this is when you kind of learn more about Robert. He has a little kind of like a little tractor trailer type of home, that was left to him. He lost his mother a long time ago. His father's nowhere around. He lived with just his grandmother. Then he moved in, in the back, area of his, aunt's house, so he can leave, the home there, so he can go back and forth to school. Just a whole bunch of stuff. So his, situation was, not what you would have expected, whatever. Deeming the way the girls see him, he was perceived, until she got to see exactly behind the curtain a little bit. So eventually, they bond, they're dating, and she starts to see certain situations where he explains to her about his energy prototype called the Gale. He really knows it has all the blood, just bells and whistles of what he's trying to do. Where if he, goes with a particular company, and this one particular company he brings up throughout the movie called Prescott. And he's like, I want to, be a part of this company. I want to show them, what I have to offer, make millions of dollars. The dream was, and this is the key thing that comes out throughout the whole movie a lot. He had the high rise apartment he would love for them to live in, the ring he wants, and then, of course, the boat, that will be named after him, which will be named after the woman he'll eventually marry. So all these visions he had. Now, key thing that happens throughout this movie is when she does lose her mother, she inherits money. And of course, her sisters tell her, don't tell him. And of course, as Taraji monologues, I didn't listen to my sisters, and of course I told him. So of course he's going through things. He finds out he has enough for a scholarship. So of course, before that, he doesn't have a vehicle. They show her signing documents to help him get a car. He's all happy. Then it shows that he's not really reaching out like that. He kind of, in ways you start to think that he's just using her at times. The way she's feeling she's being played. She reaches out to him, and then of course, he's not receptive, not responding. Well, I didn't hear from you. And then it was just kind of funny when that happened. And then other instances where she's like, let me go over there. She does bring up, hence the anger management sessions, how he knows my good side, but he doesn't know her bad side. How she can really get angry. They say she got that from her father, but he was more of a quiet type. Hers is more like, fireworks. Once it's out there. So she goes to see him. He cheated. In the midst of the situation where she has her revenge moment in the vehicle, she causes a situation to herself, bodily harm, which causes her, have, internal bleeding, where she can now have no babies. So it's all these situations happening, she's thinking he's going to leave her. He comes over, and he, the pity party and all that, and they eventually stay together. Then he cries to her about, not finishing the scholarship, of course, and then she signs on that document to make sure he finishes his last 2 semesters. So it's almost like, she's doing a lot more, he's not doing enough, and it always seems to be her. So as time goes by, her sister's like, don't marry him. She marries him. Then it shows time passes. Now they're not young anymore. It shows Taraji P. Henson. It's just like him still going through the motions. She's working multiple jobs, working an assistant job at a company, and also doing cleaning at night. And it's just, them really just going through the motion, just like, okay, where is he working? Because it seems like every time you turn around, they would show him what looks like in the garage of the house he lived in, which is her mother's home that was left to her. And he's just working on his prototype. And that's all he seems to be working. It's like, where's the job? And she's just drained, tired. They show scenes where she's getting up out the bed and, just going through her day to day. And it's just like, she's just getting to the point where he becomes frustrated because he keeps reaching out to Prescott Industries, and they keep, just reneging his letters, his videos he's sending, and whichever. And he becomes kind of lost. And she's like, well, you know what? You put the last letter in. They're telling you not to come up, towards, the building anymore. Security's been notified. And he wants to give up. And she's like, honey, this might be, the turning point to let you know, do what you need to do. Maybe you can get a job. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna try. And throughout the monologue, it was funny at times because, even me in the audience and even her, like, try. Try. You need to get a job. You need to help out. I think I've gone above and beyond. And with that, he decides to go out there, I think one last time prior to him receiving the actual phone call, and he meets up with a woman named Diana. Now, with her, she was the one back when they were young, he'd had the trace with where Melinda caught him. And she works there now. The woman who was in charge prior to that, he kept sending letters to, didn't want anything to do with him. She eventually retired. So Diana comes into play. So here we go. Some of the past kind of comes back. And he actually has a job. They end up bringing him on. Her sisters brings him on to their company. He's working, whatever. But he gets a call from Diana because at first Diana doesn't want to pay any mind. She ends up finding out he had videos he had, of course, had sent previously. She starts watching them, becoming very intrigued, excited for him, hopeful. Then she kind of sticks her head out. She helps him. And from there, something happens on the way for him to do work for the company business as opposed to going to do something to meet with Prescott. He has his one time, moment when he feels like he has a chance to shine, and he takes it. They show him going there, not taking care of that, package for one of their hired clients for the business, for the family business, and he basically just disregards them. Then her sister, Brenda, finds a wallet, which was Diana's wallet, because he'd been meeting her to kind of get an idea for business, not messing with her, but business. But it kind of gets out of hand because, of course, she goes tells Melinda, Taraji P. Henson's character, and that's kind of when things kind of just get out of whack. She's like, I'm done. I don't want any part of this. And from there, she decides she wants a divorce. Now, from that, he thinks that the thing with Prescott doesn't work out because he gives him a lowball offer, and the offer does not pan out with what he wants. He wants to keep, the IP. He wants to keep, part of the trademark for what he's created. He feels like he worked all these years, over 18 years of their marriage, basically, and it's like, I just give it to you for just a little bit when he knows it's worth more, they could expand more and do more. So with that said, he ends up getting a call from Diana. She, realizes that he's going through some certain situations where he ends up actually, getting kicked out. The family wants him out. She wants him out. She files for divorce, whichever, and all that. And in the midst of that, she finds out he's working at a place where he's the what is it, the cleaner, the dishwasher, whatever. She's trying to date Melinda. She runs into him, seeing him clean. He doesn't even know she's in there, whatever, and all. She just can't get away from him. But it just happens. Then all things change for him. He finally gets that winning streak where Prescott reaches out, decides, we're going to go ahead and give you a certain amount of money, and he gives him millions and millions of dollars. By then, the dotted on the line, signed, sealed for the divorce. She's working. He shows up at her job, and let's just say this. You can either take her side or his side. At first, you want to take her side because you understand what she's going through. But then, when you see things happening with him, you try to take his side because he does the right thing. He meets out with her. He gives her the money, for dealing with him, basically dealing with him for all those years, whatever and all that, sticking by him, which she did. And then he gives her keys back to the house that she lost because there was a foreclosure in the house because she kept putting money towards the house to help him with all the things he was doing with his, prototype. So when he does that, she feels like, okay, he's moving on, whichever. Diana's in the picture now. She, becomes more than just a friend. They start dating and they become engaged. And then it's like she shows up not realizing this because that's shown in the trailer. And she's like, you did it. You're at the high rise. You have this beautiful house. You look good. You have this new suit on. We're like, oh my goodness. So she comes over there, unbeknownst to her, that they're not alone. And that's when she meets the new fiance, and things just all hell breaks loose. And she just feels like this woman has taken my life. This is the life that I was always told I would have, the envision I've always had. And she kind of breaks a little bit, the stalking online, everything in court. And then here we are where she's shown, of course, sitting inside, the actual therapist's room. And she's just like, maybe you might have split person. She's like, no, I'm not here to hear this. The stalking, the acid on the wedding dress, every little thing she could do, all these things. And she, of course, finds out when they tell her to stay away from him, stay away from her, got a protective order. Then she finds out she's pregnant. It was that was the tip of the iceberg. So, of course, they're on the boat. That's one of the videos that's on the internet that she sees on, I think, a Facebook or Instagram, whichever. And she finds a way to get there. She's basically couldn't get out of the house because her sisters were, in the front house trying to avoid her to get out. The brother-in-laws, they're out there in the back, blocking her. So she goes out one of the windows. She gets to the boat and she torments him. And she torments the girl a little bit. She's like, I want my ring. I want my life. She forces all the, crew off of the ship into the water, which was hilarious. And just the whole sense of it. But the ending, I will say, was slightly lackluster. It doesn't end well for Melinda. I will say this, so if you all have an idea, kind of how that went. He ends up, hurt. Diana doesn't have any hurt towards her. She did nothing to her, just taunting her with the gun. But I will say the CGI with the boat scene was, could have been better. But overall, I mean, I really enjoyed the movie. honestly, this type of movie like this, you would think straight, like, honestly, like a Lifetime movie, whichever cliche, however you want to call it, but a very good one, literally to the point where I was engaged the entire time. I enjoyed it. If I gave it out of a 10, I would give it an 8. I enjoyed it. Like, really, when it comes out, I will probably buy this. I would watch this again. And I will say this, and I'm going to be honest with you all. Uh, I'm happy this was better because when I did my review a couple of months ago for Primary, it was not good. I did not enjoy that movie. They really did not do really any good press for that or any marketing. The overall storyline for that was not good. The ending was not good either. This one made up for it, even though I didn't like the way the ending overall was. But really, when you see the movie, what else is there they could have possibly done? Because she was at her breaking point, and there was only so much she could do. So in the end, I will give it an 8 out of a 10. I think you all should go check it out. I think you all will enjoy it immensely. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and move into some good old movie news now. And with that, the first one I'm going to be discussing is Kevin Bacon, good old 6 Degrees of Kevin, one of my favorite male actors. He actually is in talks with a producer from a previous movie he did, Stir of Echoes, where he actually will be working on a new horror movie. Now, if you all remember, Stir of Echoes wasn't gripped a lot of people as much as around the time when the movie Sixth Sense came out. If you all remember Sixth Sense, that was the one starring Bruce Willis. Now, I thought it was perfectly a good movie when it came out. Now, for this particular movie he's going to be working on, which I'm actually excited, it's called You Should Have Left. The title alone has me intrigued enough because that right there set up what you can imagine what a horror could probably be, like just a title alone. So I could be going a little bit above with that, but I actually like the thought of that. Now, with this particular one, Blumhouse Pictures is involved, and I'm actually excited because they're on a wave with what they have coming out. They, of course, have Halloween coming out in October, which I'm excited about, and that should be a good sign right there. Plus, they have a movie that's coming out in 2 weeks titled Truth or Dare, another little kind of like thriller horror, which I actually plan to review. And I'm actually excited, like I said, it's a lot of good horrors that are, coming out, not as creepy or scary and all that, but they're, doing their test of time, whatever. We get a lot of horrors that are more jump scare, more so. There's some that do give good creepy factor and good chills. And like I said, it was one of those I enjoyed. Insidious for the last key, a little bit, they left that open for possibility of a fifth one, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But this particular one, I'm actually looking forward to. Like I said, I am a fan of Kevin Bacon's work, so I put a good kudos behind him that will make me involved to go out and go see this. I'm actually looking forward to seeing who else will be cast and who will be directing it because it does not note that in this actual news for this particular movie. But with that said, you already know how I do every week. I always state I will, as more news comes out for certain things, I will let you guys know. So with that one said, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Now this one I'm actually was kind of interested in because I was curious about it. It's Matt Damon. He's gonna pass on being the antagonist, the villain for Spider-Man: Homecoming. Now they're still in the works of discussing who's going to be the villain in the next one. I have not heard anything. I didn't even know Matt Dillon was up for consideration. So I'm curious to see who they will bring into this. Now we will say this. That's rather interesting, being though that he was in Thor Ragnarok. He had a small part. If you missed it, it happened real fast. So I was surprised. I don't know if it's that's not his genre. He wants to get into more so. Even though DCU, Sony / Marvel Cinematic Universe is a part of that with Spider-Man, but you never know. But it could be he might want to be a part of. Now I do know one thing. He says he would consider anything in regards to superhero movies if, say, for instance, Christopher Nolan was attached, or even his best friend Ben Affleck. He was Batman, so who's to say? Time will tell. He might change his mind, but this was not the fit for him. So words out there now, they're still up for it. Now hopefully he'll make a decision soon who'll be playing the villain, because the storyline has not been noted yet exactly how they're going to take the next part of the storyline with Tom Holland playing Peter Parker. But the movie is slated to come out next year, and if I'm not mistaken, that's July of next year, 2019. So they got their work cut out for it. Time is ticking, and summer will be right here close by for them to start production, hopefully to finish up probably by fall or winter of this year. So we'll have to see how that pans out, and I will keep you all posted who will be, of course, reprising their roles, the cast with the young ones, and then also who's going to be added to the new cast for the new one for Homecoming too. So with that said, now one thing I'm actually excited to talk about for this one, because I was a fan of the first two, is Bill and Ted. I'm a fan of Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves, as I always know. Total fan of Keanu Reeves. I don't recall if you all remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, then Bill and Ted 2 Bogus Journey. I love both of them. Of course, the first one more than the second one. Now, rumors have been going around for actually a couple of years about them working on the script for the third installment. Now, they kind of been mulling over and all that because Keanu said he would be cool for coming back. I've seen a couple of his actual reviews and news about him talking about when people bring it up to him when he's doing other movies. You know, of course, recently when he was doing John Wick, somebody brought that up. So I'm glad to know that it's still out there and he's still on board to consider doing it. That would be awesome. I love this picture. This is in a new Entertainment Weekly. I think recently just came out where it is, and I just love it because I think that's the hair he'll have for John Wick 3 because I know he's getting ready to start production for that. And I just love looking at Alex Winter because he looks exactly the same from how he looked back in the day. Just a little bit more older, but still looks the same. But I'm excited for that. Now, the director who is still attached to it, I wasn't familiar with him. His name is Dean Parasol. He did the movie Galaxy Quest and Red 2. I do remember Red and Red 2. I wasn't familiar with the director at the time for that particular movie, but Red 2 was a good movie. So I actually feel good about that, confident that he can, bring it good enough with this particular movie since both of those are actually decent good movies that came out. So be it the storyline overall for the script, nothing's been told about how the script really looks, but the guy who was original screenwriter for it, which was name is Chris Matheson, he says he put a lot of work and heart and sweat and tears into doing a script for this. So we'll just have to see who's going to pick it up for what movie production company, whichever. I'm hoping somebody might get behind it because if you have the two main leads for the movie who are involved who would love to do it, then that's a good sign right there. And so hopefully as time goes on, they'll let us know if and when if they choose. Now, like I said, he's already in the production for John Wick, so I don't foresee this happening right now. If they consider doing this, depending on if he has anything else laid behind John Wick the third, 3, then we'll see, how that pans out. Then that means it might not come out in 2019 if they decide to go ahead and start it. If not, then this might be something that gets pushed another year or two. So they've been talking about this for a couple of years, so we'll have to see. I think since 2013, 2014. So with that said, moving on. The next one is all about Knight Rider, John Cena. Now, I'm a fan of John Cena. I actually remember seeing, of course, I love WWE because I used to watch wrestling, whatever, and all that. So, if we get some fans for that, that's great. I will say this: when he started to branch out more from WWE, I did see him when he did the first movie that introduced me to him. His acting chops was The Marine. And then, of course, he's been doing the Daddy's Home franchise. Of course, Daddy's Home 2 just came out not that long ago. He actually has a couple things in the works right now, which is Blockers, which is coming out soon, which looks hilarious. I'll probably go see that. Now, with this particular one, I've heard couple rumors about this, was kind of nonchalant, like, okay, will they consider doing this? Because this has been talked for a while, them wanting to do a reboot. I enjoyed the first one with David Hasselhoff, the show. Came back on in the early 80s, want to say, 82, 83, and I think it lasted for like 3 or 4 years. I watched it faithfully. Me and my brother, we love Knight Rider. And I'm actually excited now. Granted, if they do consider this, okay, I can kind of get by it. I'm trying to get the visual because it looks nothing like David Hasselhoff. That was 80s. Overall, I'm not sure how I feel about him being. I'd have to see like some sort of like teaser trailer of him in the actual vehicle to see if they would consider, how he would look the part to see if it could, pass to do a reboot. Now, also noted, let me note this. They said Cena and Kevin Hart were being courted for Knight Rider. Now, of course, John Cena will play the character Michael Knight, and they said in regards to Hart, he would be the voice of the Thunder, the Firebird kit. So I can see that. That would be kind of funny, a little hilarious with him playing the voice, whichever. So I'm like, yeah, that's doable. It's the visual for that could work. So that would actually be something to see. Kevin, I'm trying to get the visual, just the voice alone of Kevin playing Kit, but whichever. But yeah, I need to know if they're gonna go forward with this. They tried it a couple of times and it didn't flash. They were considering rebooting the miniseries of it to make it just a regular TV show again. But you know what? Even though they're trying to reboot quite a few things, of course, Lethal Weapon and some other, other shows, and they've done very well. But who's to say every other show that's been done in the past is going to come back? We even had Roseanne, that came on a couple days ago, and it did very well. So you never know. It's a possibility, but it's not going to be a TV show. It would be a movie, and I think that's fine. Now, granted, if they do the movie and they decide a year or two later to do a TV show, then that could probably work. But if it does very well, you never know. They might end up doing a sequel. There's so many ways they can possibly do this. Now, John Cena being at the helm, and he talked about this recently in an interview when he was doing Daddy Home too. So we'll have to see how that pans for him. He has, like I said, blockers, and he's also going to be a part of the Transformers spinoff for Bumblebee, which comes out on Christmas. I don't have a lot of information on that. They're keeping that tight. I haven't seen any pictures or anything. I would like to see more about that, but with that said, this is all about Knight Rider today. So if I hear any more information about that, you guys, and if they decide to make it where it is going to production, or hear any news where it looks like they're going to the next, phase of that, then I will keep you posted on that as well. All right. Speaking of, well, Sony, Marvel, whichever, and all that, Black Panther composer Ludwig Göransson. He actually was a composer for Black Panther. He has now been added towards the Venom movie. He's going to be the composer for that, so I'm actually excited. So with that one, that's going to be interesting, because with this particular one, this particular Venom movie, Ruben Fleischer, he did the movie Zombieland. He actually touted him to come on board to do the score. Now, just to give you a little background on Ludwig, he actually has a friendship with Ryan Coogler. He actually composed Creed and Fruitville Station. So that's actually, and then of course Black Panther. So I'm actually excited for him to come on board with that. Now, if you all remember, I did a little bit of news a couple of weeks ago on Venom, how Tom Hardy is of course at the helm. We have Riz Ahmed, we have Michelle Williams, and we also have Woody Harrelson at the helm of the movie for the casting. So that has me excited. I'm actually excited. The teaser was a straight tease. A lot of people were not happy because they wanted to see a little picture or a little bit of Venom, but they didn't get that. With him doing the music, I'm actually excited. That brings a little bit more to it, a little bit more excitement. And hopefully when they have the next trailer, we'll hear some music from him that'll give us excitement, because some of his musical parts in the actual movie were during the parts with Killmonger's character played by Michael B. Jordan. So I'm actually excited to see that. And this gives me more excitement and hope. I know a lot of people are really downing the Venom right now. They're wanting to see it, and I'm hoping more and more the cast, this stuff, maybe something closer to Comic-Con. They might make us wait that long, and then we'll see something whichever, but just more hype for the movie, and that makes me actually excited for the movie. All right, the last and final one is Tommyknockers. I'm excited because with this one, it seems like everything's all the rage for Stephen King novels. Of course, you already know when they did that was a hit. It made over $700 million. I was excited for that. And then we have the movie Gerard's Game, which came on Netflix. 1922 came on Netflix as well. And then we had The Dark Tower, which came out in theaters starring Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. So it just seems like the steam is just not it's ongoing for anything Stephen King's hands are in. Everybody's into it. Now, with this particular one, it doesn't state exactly who's going to be a part of it, but it will be a movie. It will not be a TV series. They did a TV series back in 1993, and I remember this actually myself because Jimmy Smits was the lead in the movie. Now, just to give y'all a little bit of a synopsis real quick, it is a story of a small Maine town whose residents' minds gradually become taken over by an alien entity. Only the alcoholic poet named by Jar, which was played by Jimmy Smith's character at the time, can see what's really going on thanks to his semi-granted by the steel plate in his head. King would, later, he didn't really like his novel, so he didn't want any parts of that. So, but in the end, it became a hit anyway. So I'm actually excited. Like I said, I'd like to know who's going to be actually in this movie. I want to know who's going to be at the helm of the movie. That'll make it even better. But the producers of it and The Conjuring are attached to this, so that makes me even more happy about it. So that lets me know it will be good. We already have two things coming out. In 2019, we have It Chapter 2 that comes out in September of 2019. And then we have Pet Sematary, which comes out in April of 2019. Still don't know a lot about Pet Sematary. Haven't seen anything. Still nothing about the cast. I ranted about that before. I really wish they would put something out because it's coming out before it. And it would be nice to know a little bit more about that, but it is what it is. So with that, you guys, that's it of my movie news. I just want to note what I'll be seeing next week. I'm going to see A Quiet Place. It's starring Emily Blunt and John Krasinski. Actually, two actors, both of them are married in real life. He's the director, so that makes it actually exciting for me to watch it. Looking forward to that. It's a good old horror. The trailers have been awesome. I did a reaction to that on YouTube, so I'm actually looking forward to this. With that, like I said before, you guys, enjoy your Sunday. Happy Easter again. As I always say every week, you guys, we have mini segments every week to watch. Please follow us, share, comment. We look forward to hearing from you guys. Feedback is always, great to hear. And like I state, WBGR's app. Please download that. Follow us when you're on the go. And with that said, you guys, I will see you on the next reaction. You guys take care.